Hello there everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joesephyr and welcome to another monthly recap of the community stream for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. Now I never thought I'd be saying this, but this community stream nearly broke me from an emotional standpoint for reasons I'll get into in a little while, and I very nearly cracked on stream, but thankfully I didn't. But we do have a lot of very exciting stuff coming to Dissidia as well, including some unexpected resource gains, which will be quite nice to have after this slew of stuff we've had over the course of February. So if all that stuff is stuff that you're interested in, then of course, as always, stay tuned and keep on watching. Now before we get started, of course, don't forget to check out all of the social media links in the description box below. So that's Twitter, Twitch, Discord, and Patreon. On Patreon, I always shout out one of my patrons every time I release a video, and today that person is going to be Cobalt Zork, who has been on my Patreon for a long time now, so a massive thank you for being a part of this journey for me, because it's actually coming up to a year where I've been streaming consistently, and a year since I returned to content creation, and oh my god, the changes in my life it's made, and I only have you guys who are viewers, subscribers, followers on my Twitch, all sorts of things to thank for it. Similarly, that's a nice way to segue into Twitch, because this weekend I'm going to be doing my charity stream for 19 hours versus COVID-19 for Chrono Trigger. I know you guys have probably heard me harp on about this a lot, but because we've all been affected by the pandemic, it is something that is near and dear to me. So if you want to learn more about it, then do check out the link in the description box below. We've now raised over £700 for the British Red Cross already, and we haven't even started on the charity stream itself yet. So for everyone who's donated, a massive thank you, because it's going to a very good cause, and I'm so proud to have a community that is willing to do that. And of course, don't forget to check out all of the other resources around that are for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, and don't forget to check out all of the other content creators out there, because as I'll get into in just a moment, there's a lot of us out there, and everyone works really hard on what they do, and I really would love for you guys to experience their content as well as mine. So before we get started on the slides itself, I have a personal massive thank you that has to be given to Kim and Josh over at Square Enix, because they spoke very frankly about the situation when it came to Vincent LD. Now, they spoke about the fact that people were unhappy with Vincent LD, and I completely understand that. But the fervour of people's hatred towards things with Vincent, regards to that, I turned around and I said I didn't think he was that bad. I thought he was pretty good. I never said he was amazing, but I said he wasn't that bad. And I don't talk about hate or anything like that, because as content creators, we do have to come to expect that kind of thing to a certain extent. But equally, like when Vincent came out, and it actually happened when Balthier came out as well, we as content creators got a lot of flack for trying to support the decisions from various different places, and I try very hard not to talk about it at all, because I think that it breeds more of it. But I got DMs that were like very, very like vile things that were sent to me. So to hear it come out of their mouths that they don't endorse that, and that they were saying don't do this, was actually a very, very heartfelt thing for me, because I think that positivity amongst the community is a big deal, and people are allowed to criticize things that they don't like, but there's a way of doing that. So one thing that comes out of all of this, then just be nice to each other. Be nice to us content creators. Be nice to the people over at Square Enix. Everyone works hard, and the thing you have to remember is this is a game. It's a game. It's not an integral part of anyone's life. It's something that people are enjoying, and people should be able to do as thus. So I hope that people take that message that they've given, and now the kind of thing that I'm compounding, and I just want everyone to be nice to each other, because it makes the community what it is, and we're very lucky with the Opera Omnia community, so I don't want to see it get kind of derailed by a vocal minority. So honestly, that's all I have to say on that matter, but I'm really glad that they acknowledged it the way they did. So enough about all of that mushy stuff, let's move on to some slides. Now the first slide is actually kind of interesting. It's a quality of life update that we get after maintenance, which will be happening on Wednesday, which is going to be a kind of revision of co-ops and things like that. So instead of going for just hosting or guesting, or it now gives you an option to have either, depending on what the server status is doing. So it's a nice kind of thing. It's not a mandatory thing or anything like that. It's just kind of like it's kind of cool. It might get me into co-ops a little quicker, and that's kind of cool. But also, we're going to get token exchange. Basically, it's just where it says like you can like filters for passive acquired, not yet required. Basically, it's just a filter option that allows you to kind of filter out everything that you have already gotten the passives from, whether you're looking for weapon tokens, armor tokens, EX tokens, etc. So it's just a nice little extra, but it's not anything to write home about. So thank merciful God that I was correct with this banner that's coming up on February the 25th, so it's this Thursday, because it is Hope's banner that's going to come along with Boss Rush 2. And luckily, I have already made my Should You Pull video for Hope, so if you want to find out more about him and the event that's going to be coming along with him, then definitely go and check that video out as well. But honestly, I'm just glad that we don't have any more surprises, because it was difficult with February to try and stay on top of stuff, while there was so many surprises coming out, Balthea, and then Vincent, and then everything else that came out. It's nice to kind of get back to where we were. We're getting a free multi-draw as well, because we're still in February, so we're still getting a multi-draw for that, because, well, it's still part of the 3rd anniversary, so good stuff all around. So next up on the list is going to be next Monday, which is going to be the next story chapter. Now, we haven't had a story chapter in quite a while, but this one, Act 3, Chapter 1, Part 1, is actually broken up into 2 halves, and we'll get that with this banner, or the characters that are coming on this banner, and then we'll get it again slightly later down the line. Now, these events this part of the event is going to contain Onion Knights LD and Burst. And now, obviously, I'm going to talk about this more in great detail nearer the time with the Should You Pull video. But Onion Knight's main thing with his LD is that he grants free skill uses and turn manipulates his party members, which is actually very cool. It's one of those kind of very unique abilities that not any other characters really have, and it does open up some very interesting mechanics, but it's not one that I think is going to be absolutely pressing for people if they're low on resources because of February. It does, however, come with a really nasty Lufenia that a lot of people are not looking forward to because of the Medusa heads that feature in them. But again, I will go over that in greater detail when we actually get towards the event. But we're also getting an opening campaign for Act 3 in general, which is going to have Chocobo panel missions, new stickers for Onion Knight, which, if anything, going off of the ones that we saw on the slides and on the stream itself, they're pretty badass. But we're also getting three free multi-draws, again, which is crazy given how many we've already had, for the 2 banners that will come here, so ones that will feature Onion Knight as LD and his burst, and another one that will feature Gao and his LD board as well. And then we're going to get another one when the second part of that Lost Chapter comes up as well. And then in addition to this, again on March the 1st, we're going to be getting a 9 million downloads campaign, which, you know, 9 million downloads is a pretty big deal. That's a big number. But we're going to get 9,000 gems just by logging in, and we're also going to get another hunt event, which is not replacing our existing hunt. It's going to be in addition to them, where you can get up to 99 draw tickets, which honestly, with the amount of resources that we've been spending recently, is very welcome as far as I'm concerned. Alongside these banners and all the characters, you can see which characters are actually featured in the banners just here because of their level 80 awakening. So that's Onion Knight, Gao, Snow, Saz, Alize, and Keita. Very excited for Alize and Keita, must say. Having the ability to call on those is great. But we're also going to be getting the ability to use those characters as super synergy characters for Ramuh. Now, this is not for Divine Ramuh, because Divine Ramuh is not coming until April, so don't get excited. It's not going to be a massive surge of resources again. But if you're wanting to catch up on getting your summon board points for Ramuh and having super synergy available for him, then it's great to be able to use them and get all your summon board points back up to where you want them to be. So after Onion Knight stuff is going to come Arcellas Lost Chapter, and then the second part of the Chapter 3 Act, or the Act 3 Chapter 1 Part 2. So therefore you're going to get Arcellas LD, which regenerates uses of her skill 2. Now, a lot of people kind of poop on Arcellas LD, saying that it's not very good, it's quite mediocre, and it is more skippable than a lot of characters, because Arcella, while still being really good because of having HP Silence, Fast Cast, Dispel, and then being able to have more longevity because of her LD, there are a lot of enemies going forward that actively resist HP nullification, so she's not as useful as she could have been. And because Balthea got released, who has Dispel and Izunaga at the same time, then that's another reason why Arcella may not be as desirable as she once was. Theodore is going to be the character that features, and with another multi-draw for free on Act 3 Chapter 1 Part 2, and he's going to be a character that kind of burns his HP and regains it with holy damage, and trying to just do party support and damage dealing at the same time. And Theodore's actually pretty good, but again, he's actually quite skippable as well, and that's mainly because of the character that follows him that kind of kicks him to the curb, and pretty much every other character in the game while he's at it. So on March 15th is a date you want to be plugging into your planners when it comes to this game. He's not actually pictured in this slide, but a new burst character is going to be coming along with a raid and the Beat Back Challenge, which has now been renamed to Token Challenge, but here it's listed as Beat Back Challenge for some reason. And it's Cecil, Paladin Cecil. Now Paladin Cecil is, for want of a better word, completely balked. He just provides so many things all at once. Like, he is an incredible defensive support character. He's an Imperial Enchanter. He's got a massive boost that comes from his LD that grants 50% plus brave damage to the party and HP damage plus. So think Balthier, but then some. And honestly, putting those two together just like gives me, you know, butterflies in my stomach. And he just does a lot. So if you're saving gems, this is the banner that you want to do so on. Now, Camlanaught's actually here as well, and Camlanaught gets his LD boards. And if you already have Camlanaught, it's actually pretty good stuff. The same goes for Gao too. They get some really nice stuff off of their LD boards, and I'll cover them in more detail nearer the time. But Camlanaught, like, his Brave Attack Plus gets gravity on it, which makes it easier to break things, and it extends his buffs by a turn, which is a big deal for him because it's something that you want to keep up as much as physically possible. But the problem is, he's in a banner batch next to Paladin Cecil, so the chances are people probably won't be pulling for Camlanaught here. And then on March 18th, we're going to see the return of Kais, who is honestly one of my favourite characters in Dissidia. I just really enjoy what he does when it comes to launches, and I love launch-based characters in general. And he's going to be coming back with his LD, and his LD is actually, like, it doesn't sound like much, but it's one of those ones that it increases their stats just to complement the base kit they already have, which is already very strong. So what it does is it will inflict a framed debuff that makes it so they have a sap, and you also get bravery back when you do HP damage during a chase, so you get bravery refund off after that, so your chases are safer. And then he also gets a new HP plus variant when he uses it. He's one of those characters that I think, like, if you get Cecil LD but not Burst, then you might want to pull here. But it's like, Kais is a really cool character to have, but he actually returns on another banner with Lael Burst down the line, and this will be at the time where you can get two different LDs on a banner. So if you don't get Kais, it's not the end of the world, but he's definitely really nice to have. And then the last event that was spoken about on the stream, it was actually a relatively short one, is on March 22nd, where we're going to see the new version of Dimensions End. Now, Dimensions End Transcendence is done slightly differently to what we know Dimensions End to be. So you actually have 3 quests as part of this one. So you have 2 Crucible quests, which are very similar to what we already know from Dimensions End already, where you pick your party and you can only use the same character once. So obviously across those characters, you're allowed to use 6 different characters. Once you've done them both, you then unlock the Reckoning quest, where you have to use 3 of the characters you used from the 6 that you used for the 2 Crucible quests. Now, this actually comes with a banner on its own as well, which is going to see the return of Gabranth. Now, Gabranth finally gets an LD here, and his LD is one of my favourite attacks from the original Dissidia, which was Innocence, and I loved Gabranth from the originals. But he gains a new framed buff, or a new special effect called Protector of the Prince, which is basically there to lower HP damage passively, which turns him into like a tankier character because he already reduces bravery damage, and he also still has a lot of the instant break mechanics. So Innocence gets like an instant break on top of it, even if they're already broken, when they have the frame debuff that he already had before. And because he's able to lower the enemy's attack and max bravery, and like lower their offensive stats quite efficiently, he kind of helps like pack in quite a lot to a debuff, counter, trap, instant break, turn manipulation, tank. He is actually very good, and he's another character that will feature Paladin Cecil's Burst. So if you haven't got it by this point, it will be another banner worth looking at. But obviously, as with all of the events, when Transcendence becomes nearer to the time, I will go over that in greater detail. So that's going to be all from today's video. It's actually a little bit shorter than we've had recently, but honestly, after a month of like surprises and lots of stuff going on and all these various things happening with the anniversary, it's actually quite refreshing to have a month that's a little bit more low-key and we kind of know everything that's going to be happening. Like I said earlier, if you want to learn more about Hope and his event as well, or Boss Rush 2, then go and check that video out as well, and hopefully you've enjoyed this video as well. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell for notifications on any future videos I'll be making, and don't forget to check out the Twitch channel for this Saturday for the charity stream. So thank you very much indeed, and I will see you guys soon. Take care.